How's it going? Oh. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So turn to everybody around you and say Shabbat Shalom. Introduce yourself. Welcome. Welcome to Congregation Sherith Israel. Am I on? Can you guys hear me? Yes. There, that's better. I think if I move this. User error. Mine, always. There we go. Hopefully, is this good? You can hear me. Okay. Awesome. I'm Rabbi Jessica Graf, joined by Cantor Toby Glaser, Jonathan Dimmick, and our whole awesome team, one of whom has a birthday today. I don't know, where did he go? Yes, the parents are super psyched. Today is Zach. I know, it's your birthday. My grandmother used to say it's the mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Denise. And Eric. And Zach. And Zach, yes, you did a lot of work on this day. Speaking of which, no word yet about George. We wait. Everybody's been asking me. We wait, but we wish them well on this Shabbat, which might be the last one without a baby ever. So we will begin our service tonight with a word of welcome from Karen Zelmar on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
I knew it was coming. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I am Karen Zelmar. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the treasurer of the Board of Trustees, and I'm having a Sherith Israel weekend, which is, I'm engaged, but I'm not that engaged. But because I'm here, I'm going to the Nefesh Mountain concert tomorrow night, and the Gen Xers among us are going to all go out for a drink afterwards. So, woohoo for those of us in that age bracket. And then on Sunday, I'm coming back here to volunteer for Hamotzi, which is part of our social action activity. And if I didn't have Hamotzi, I'd be hiking with the Hiking Affinity Group. I am bursting with Sherith Israel activities, and I hope that you guys are too. I hope you have a great Shabbat.
I hope you'll join us for Torah study tomorrow at
There
9:15.
might be a limit for me, but someday.
That's all awesome. And we have a big outing to the Contemporary Jewish Museum for all of our amazing kids, organized by Jonathan, who went somewhere. He's not here anymore. But anyway, he organized a really cool trip, and we're excited about that too. So lots of fun stuff going on this weekend, starting with Kabbalat Shabbat tonight. I'd like to invite Doctors Valerie Jahan and Jim Davis, who are longtime leaders of our community and the community at large, representing the other organization where their hearts lie, and I'll let them tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. But our Oneg tonight is sponsored by the San Francisco Campus for Jewish Living, a place that both of these people have helped to build and sustain and represent here tonight as they light candles to honor us.
I'm scared of this matchbox because it never works for anybody. Although lately it seems like it's been working.
There we go.
Third time's the charm.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I'll say a few words. No, it's really a pleasure. We both, I look at the Sabbath lights and I think that the warmth that it brings for the Sabbath is similar to what the Jewish Home, now the Campus for Jewish Living, has done for Valerie and our families for many, many years. Both Valerie's parents were president of the Jewish Home, and now Valerie's on the board, and my father was president of the Jewish Home, and I've been very involved with the board as well. And it's just a very special place that really brings light into our lives and really enriches it. And so it's really a pleasure to be here tonight to sort of share what the Jewish Home does for our community.
And I'll just add, it's not just our parents, and I'll speak for Denise as well, but our grandparent, who was also on the board. So I'm third generation board member. And what we all talk about as the Jewish Home is actually now known as the San Francisco Campus for Jewish Living. It's much more than just the home. And so there's lots of information. Catherine Tick and Bruno Perez are here. And thanks to them, we have an Oneg sponsored, and there's a lot of information out there. So if you have any questions about any of the aspects, feel free to talk to them after services, or Jim and I are available as well. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you both so much for all the expertise and the love that you bring to our community and to everything that you do in the community. My great-grandfather also lived at the Jewish Home, and I remember going to visit when I was little, and then later on with Cantor Feldman and the youth choir here. So it's a place that I think every Jewish family in San Francisco and many other non-Jewish families have really been touched by. So thank you for your ongoing work, and several other congregants also who are really invested. So thank you. We will continue on page 13 as we welcome Shabbat into this space, and we create a wonderful environment that is cozy and warm in here, even as the world outside is a little windy and upheavally. We here get to have a little bit of shalom. Page 13.
שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. One more time, שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו.
We continue welcoming the angels of Shabbat on page 17.
The last 3 lines there, Romemu. Romemu, Romemu, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדושו. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדושו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדושו. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדושו.
We turn to page 20 now as we sing and invite the angels literally to come through the door where we entered to be with us for 25 very special hours of Shabbat.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, שמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
With our voices warmed up in Kabbalat Shabbat, at an end, the very welcoming of Shabbat, we turn to the central part of our service and call out, we are here as one minyan, one community. Page 28.
I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. One more time. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. Baruchu et Adonai, hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai, hamevorach leolam vaed. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray.
How's that for a bluegrass baruchu? We'll hear more of that beautiful music tomorrow night with Nefesh Mountain. We'll continue reading together on page 30 as we thank God for the night which brings us rest and peace and turns again to day each morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzvaot shmo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
We continue together in the middle of page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We continue together on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue together at the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim, Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilo do sefele, nora tehilo o sefele. ונאמר כי בררנה את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
In the evening when we come together, we recognize, as our ancestors did, that it's dangerous out there. It's dangerous to be out, it's dangerous to be Jewish, it's dangerous to gather. And fortunately, we feel mainly safe doing that here. But this prayer remains in our Siddur as a reminder of what all of our ancestors experienced trying just to come together for Shabbat. So it's our privilege to be able to be here, and as we say these words of Hashkivenu, we ask God to help us tonight to lie down to peace and to lift us up to a world renewed that's more peaceful, where we feel more and more comfortable to live. And I would like to invite the person with the sparkliest shoes in this whole room, whoever has the sparkliest shoes, to come up and to lead Hashkivenu for us. Batty Krantz is one of our amazing teens, and she has on diamond-studded shoes.
Maddie also just wanted to share a few words about why she's singing and in whose honor. So please, Maddie.
On November 30th, 2022, Christine McVie died from an illness at the age of 79. She was an incredibly talented singer in the band Fleetwood Mac. As a musician myself, I find it important to honor her legacy, and one way to honor her is to sing a song about peace. But first, I want to share part of a Fleetwood Mac song called Landslide. Well, I've been afraid of changing because I've built my life around you, but time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too.
Continue on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, leShalom, vehamdienu malkeinu leHayim, ufros aleinu suva shlomecha, ufros aleinu suva shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Shekochech, so beautiful, such wonderful singing. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for honoring Kristen's legacy. Thank you.
We will continue on page 253, which is where we find the words of Misha Berach as we ask God to grant wholeness and healing of mind or body or spirit or all of those things, a sense of peace and completeness to those in our lives who are in need of our love and prayers for refuah. Page 253.
Berach avotenu mekol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say, Amen.
On this Shabbat, we pray for the healing of Tsur Miriam Bat Chana V'Moshe, Jim Blattner, David Balafi, Bob Fonero, Michael Gaines, Stephen Gerbsman, William Kurian, Monica Levin, Agnes Rothblatt, and a refuah shlema to the Newmans who are under the weather tonight. Please add names to all of those that I have shared as we lift up our prayers together for healing.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We say that blessing even on a Shabbat when we don't usually petition God for anything. The two things that the rabbis taught us were so important that we could ask for them even on Shabbat are healing and peace. And of course, we always ask for those two things that keep our community filled with love and wholeness. We are grateful for this Shabbat, and we turn to page 44 for Vishamru, which thanks God for the privilege of Shabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני עובד בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Each of us coming to this place from our own places outside, it's our responsibility to set our kavanah, to set our own intention as we, in just a moment, stand together as one community of individuals, asking our own thoughts and prayers within ourselves and out loud. We turn to page 46 as we ask God to help us get those words out of ourselves. Please stand.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Shalom imromah, o ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom imromah, o ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom imromah, o ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imreru. Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Not too late, tomorrow night, Nefesh Mountain. There's 1 hour between Shabbat and the concert when you should buy your tickets, so please join us tomorrow night.
Shabbat shalom from this like really wobbly music stand. So in the middle of the night when I can't sleep, which is from 2 to 5, or 1 to 6, when I'm not writing to Judy, I am kind of dreaming about planning trips that I'll probably never go on, but these very elaborate international excursions. I did once read that David Ben-Gurion only slept 4 hours a night, so I felt much better about myself after that. He did a lot of good stuff in his life, and I planned a lot of great trips in the middle of the night, really exceptional ones. I planned one not that long ago that will never happen, thinking that I was going to put my kids in, some kind of like travel gear and go to Bali for 3 months. It sounded really great to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. But later in the morning, when John woke up, he thought this was a terrible idea for a lot of reasons, not the least of which was that I don't know anyone in Bali, and since he would be refusing to go on this trip, I would be solo parenting for 3 months in the middle of Indonesia. Thought this was a bad idea, but I was dreaming about it, and I think because of my love of travel, I've always considered where we might go. Right before Ari was born, I had this insane belief, which I told George just last week. I thought I was going to get one of those carriers, and just put her in, and we were going to go visit Thailand. Except that's not how it works at all. And I told George, forget it. You're not going any of the places you think you're going. For years and years, I just wanted my kids to have a passport because it seemed like this would be really fun, and we should be able to go if ever any of these dreams came to fruition. But recently, when I took them to the passport office and worked very hard to get a passport appointment, it wasn't because of any upcoming trip, actually. I think deep down it came from a very big place of fear. of what it feels like to live in this country these days and what it means, what it meant to have children who couldn't get on an airplane without a passport. I think it's a fear that is something we don't want to talk about, and it's a fear that remains latent. It's a fear when I talk to my kids about some of our friends who can't get passports in this country. It's a fear when we talk about what it means if we needed to go somewhere else. What does it mean to be American these days? What does it mean to stay here or to even think, even if we would never do it, about moving to somewhere else? In the last 3 days, in several of the meetings that I've had with congregants and people, Jewish people in San Francisco, I have heard remarkably the same exact story. We just got a fill-in-the-blank passport because of my grandfather, my grandmother, the paperwork that I found. I just want to have it. People keep saying to me, I just wanted German citizenship. Someone said yesterday, I just wanted Polish citizenship. Someone said to me today, I just wanted it. And I have to say, I understand the feeling. It's a feeling that is very uncomfortable, a feeling of fear, a feeling of questioning. Where would we even go? I don't know where I'd go with this passport. But when they came in the mail 2 days ago after a long wait, I was very relieved that my kids actually now have passports. Well, we're living in a time that's really uncomfortable. This is not news to anybody. It's been coming for a while, and it seems to be getting worse. It's filled with the unknown. It requires deep searching. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. It's not easy. But it's so Jewish. This Torah portion, Vayishlach, is the story of Jacob, our ancestor, who lived in his own very uncomfortable time. And though we're not the only people who experience discomfort, certainly, it seems to be a theme throughout Jewish history and the history of our people. Jacob is in a place of great soul searching. The circumstances were different, of course, but just like us, he found himself in a place needing to figure out what he deeply, deeply believed and what he struggled with. In our Torah portion this week, Jacob, who you'll remember cheated his brother of his birthright, well, they're getting back together. He is going to be approaching his brother, and his world in this time of personal turmoil is incredibly topsy-turvy. He doesn't know what to expect or how things will turn out or who he even is. He prepares. He prepares a lot. He wonders how his brother might react. He wonders what might need to be done to repair the relationship. He sends people ahead of himself to gather information and to share information about his peaceful reason for coming to his brother. He wonders what this is going to be like, and nothing is clear. But it's in the darkest moment, literally in the story, pitch black in the middle of the night, when all of the other people who are around Jacob and who stay with him, who help him prepare for the moment, are not there, when he struggles into a new self. Jacob sends everybody literally away across the river. Go, he tells them, I'll be right behind you. But he's not really right behind them. In verse 25, in the first part of our Torah portion this week, it says, and Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. So imagine Jacob preparing to cross the river with his whole entourage. It's nighttime, pitch black outside, and he sends the entourage of safety ahead of him. Go, he says, across the river. And they leave him. We don't know how long they leave him, but they leave him standing on the banks of this river in the dark by himself, just long enough, or maybe for a long time, maybe the whole night, but long enough that this incredible sacred wrestling takes place. He wrestles with what we learn in the Torah portion is an ish, literally a man, someone else, someone he envisions, himself, some kind of version of God. Who knows? Much ink has been spilled about this by the rabbis who came long before this one, lots of ideas about who it might be. But the most plausible to me seems to be that the ish, the man who was wrestling so feverishly with Jacob, was really himself. We don't hear that it was an otherworldly or non-human person. It's just a man, a guy, a version of Jacob's own self, maybe. And from this wrestling, he emerges from the experience of the wrestling on the banks of the river with a changed name. He goes from being Yaakov, the guy who is holding on to Esau's heel in his mother's womb, struggling and trying to get out, trying to become prominent. He goes from Yaakov to Yisrael, literally wrestling with God. Yisrael, wrestling with God. And so do we as a result of Jacob's own wrestling. As I was thinking about it this week, reading the news in our own American newspapers, in our own stories, I was wondering about something that came up from the thought of Jacob asking the question who he really was at his own core in those moments wrestling with God, wrestling with himself and continuing a relationship with God. What was at the center of Jacob's being, that Ish who was there that challenged him? In a dark, dark moment, the question echoes, who are we? Just as it did for Jacob, who am I? As I was reading about America in this last week, as we all were kind of sitting on the edge of our seats, wondering how the election would turn out, turns out that it was an example of democracy prevailing in tiny spaces. There were real elections, real vote counts that took place. David Newman told me a couple of weeks ago that I was too optimistic about the power of democracy in my comments when Trump was first elected. David remembered that I kept saying that Americans would do right, that we would come out knowing who we are, and that the core essence of Americans would come out of all that. David was kind of skeptical, I guess, about my optimism. But it has seemed bad in these last many years when we've been struggling, wondering what is the core of our identity, wondering whether we'd be safe in this country, and wondering really if the deepest held American values would prevail. In these last few weeks and months, I would say even this year, we imagine ourselves kind of in Jacob's position, this task lying ahead of crossing over from one place in our history to another. It's kind of as if we were left alone on a riverbank, like Jacob. We struggled with all of the what ifs, the who we are and where we should go questions, and ultimately the ish, the person within each of us and within our American culture was who we wrestled with. We can't get away from ourselves. Even in the middle of the night, standing on the riverbank, deep down, we have to ask ourselves individually and collectively, who are we? Who are we? Just like Jacob did as he wrestled with a version of himself, he couldn't cross over the river and meet his brother without knowing exactly who he was and what he stood for. And we too have been struggling to know ourselves at our core. Who are we? And what do we ultimately stand for? Before we can cross over the river and recognize others, this question of identity must be resolved. Yisrael, Jacob's new name, he struggled, he wrestled with God, learning who he was. Of course, the Jewish community is not the only community that has been struggling or wrestling in these last number of years to identify what it means to be American and what it means to be people in conversation with others, people who uphold the values of American democracy. In fact, just this morning, I was on a really interesting call that the JCRC put together for leaders of the Jewish and the API communities, Asian Pacific Islander leaders who are joining Jewish leaders. I'm really excited to tell you that Rabbi Bauer and I will be the two rabbis on the trip with a number of other Jewish leaders, leading this effort to try and understand in March when we get together with leaders of the Asian and Pacific Islander community what we have in common, our history, and how to address the challenges, the wrestling that we're doing with identity in the United States today to feel safe, to feel at home, to feel unthreatened. What does that look like? It's shared, and there's so much hope in that dialogue, in the sharing of this wrestling. Even though we're not the only ones to be wrestling with these questions, it is our story that teaches. It is the story of Yisrael and his descendants that teaches that there is sacred in the struggle. There is sacred in the wrestling. It's the Jewish story. It's the story of Yisrael, of the original Yisrael, and of this Yisrael that has prevailed all these thousands of years later. It teaches us don't run away. Don't run from the struggle. Don't wince with the discomfort that feels so consuming sometimes. We are the people who wrestled with God, and we continue to. There is sacred in the wrestling. That is our inheritance. Shabbat shalom. We wrestle, but we also celebrate. So in honor of our communal efforts to do all of those things, to study and to be in dialogue, to share all of the challenges and the joys, as they like to say on all of these listservs, the oys and the joys of life. We have the privilege to share in our smachot, our simchas and happy occasions, the things that we want to let each other know about. So I don't even see Zach Migdal in this room, but I think we're going to have, is he here somewhere?
Yeah.
He's going to.
Just leave the cameras, buddy. Come hang out.
We'll
They'll
sing
be
a
fine.
rousing rendition of Happy Birthday when he joins us. What other simchas are taking place in our community on this Shabbat? There he is! Woo! All right, I think we have to do it, Cantor.
Sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Zach. Happy birthday to you. Mazal tov.
I've streamed to 120 in good health and lots of good wrestling.
If you're wondering what Zach does here, the answer is basically everything that's not up here on the beamer. And I definitely couldn't function without him. He's such an amazing support to all the programming that happens here. So thank you so much, Zach, for always having our back.
Zach always walks over and starts a conversation. Hi, can I help you? Can I do anything? What can I do? What can I do to help? Which is awesome. He's our amazing support for everything here. So happy birthday, Zach and family. What other celebrations are happening this week? Yeah, another Zach.
It's almost Hanukkah.
It is almost Hanukkah, that's true. And you're really looking forward to Hanukkah, I take it. Yeah, of course. Me too. Awesome. Yes, we'll talk a little more about Hanukkah in just a few minutes, but it is almost Hanukkah. Anything else? Oh, we got lots of them. Okay, Maddie. You sang again, and that was a great privilege for all of us to hear you helping lead. Thank you so much. Yes?
It was my mom's birthday on Wednesday.
Your mom's
Happy birthday,
Happy
Gabby.
birthday.
Right.
To 120. You can tell her to 120. Awesome. Other hands I thought I saw? No? Shira.
We had a great first Better Together gathering last Sunday at Benihana. It was delightful. We met each other. And so I look forward to more.
That's super awesome. Will you just very briefly, for people who don't know what Better Together is, will you just say one sentence about the program, which is so awesome?
So the old people get together with the younger people.
Are you the young people or the old people?
So Better Together is a program that Natalie has been creating, right, to bring some of our older, wiser members of our community together with some of our teens. And together they went to, and it's called Better Together. They went to Benihana for a wonderful lunch and opportunity to get to know each other. And I saw a great picture of you with giant flames leaping out of the hibachi. Luckily, those didn't get too near anyone. But I'm really glad that you had a great experience. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. Awesome. There was a hand over here somewhere. Yes?
I made it through a semester.
A semester. Congratulations. Where?
City College.
Great.
Semester's finally over, so we're celebrating.
Yay.
Good stuff.
Yes, you and Zach can talk about this. Hanukkah is coming. That's what's next.
Hanukkah, I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Congratulations. Other hands? Other cool things going
Another thing,
on?
Maddie?
It's almost winter break.
It's
It
almost
is.
winter break. All right.
It is. That's true. Yeah. You're almost there. How many more days?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. All right. Almost there. Good. Well, in honor of all of these wonderful things that are happening around us and the light that we bring into the darkness, we thank God for giving us life and sustaining us and enabling us to reach this day as we stand and join with the cantor in Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
We turned now to page 282 in our Sidurim for Aleinu, which means it is upon us. And in fact, as we wrestle to figure out what it is that we want to make sure our world looks like, it is upon us.
Unfortunately, our accompanist is too famous, and he had to run to a symphony gig, but we will continue. We will soldier on without him. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We turn to page 295. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we've drawn into our hearts with our own zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. On this Shabbat, especially as we're talking about the excellent care of the Jewish campus for living, it's our sad responsibility to tell you that we lost a member who lived there and was so beautifully cared for there, Dr. Susan Shaven. Many of you may have known Susan over the years. She was involved at Sherith Israel from the time of Simcha on, and she came here as often as she could until she moved farther away from us and was living at the Jewish campus. So we remember her. We don't say Kaddish for her tonight. She hasn't been buried yet, but she's certainly a person who will be remembered fondly in this community. For Shiva on this Shabbat, the first 7 days of mourning, we remember another longtime member of congregation, Sherith Israel Blanche Khan, who was very involved with many things here, Hamotzi and the book group, and had been here as a congregant for a number of years, and also Rosalind Schaff, Nancy's cousin, who died just in this past week as well. For Shloshim, we remember tonight Carol Bronze, the sister of David Robbins, who joins us from home. So David, we support you as you mourn your wonderful sister and create memories of happy times together as a family. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim, please stand. Please share a name with us if there's anybody else that you would like to mention. The first year of mourning takes place in this congregation as we remember Rabbi Marty Wiener and anybody who you stand and mention now in this first year of mourning.
Harry Mancall and Tina Cole.
My mom, Mita.
John Weary. My mother, Kathleen Goff.
Please remain standing. The perpetual memorials in our congregation are Shoshana Hannah Asher and Joseph Sattler. The yahrzeit anniversaries on the Shabbat I will read now. If your loved one's name is read, please stand also. Bernice Axe, Patricia Allen, Alan Axelrod, Sandra Barron, Rabbi Edward Ben Eliezer, Gail Brewer, Violet Smith David, Mary Doherty, Chaya Feinberg, Arnie Feldman, Ted Fenn, Gordon Flegel, Morris Friedman, Evelyn Garber, Floyd Gruskin, Hannah Hurwitz, Sonia Chachamovich, Jay Cofton, Minnie Leader, Harold Lipset, Marty Mizrak, Susie Morgenstein, Michael Rosenberg, Ann Becker Schwartzberg, Daniel Irwin Schwartzberg, Jerome Sherman, Al Sider, Helen Sider, Blanche Silverman, Charlotte Stern, Raina Walt, Leo T. Zuckerman, and anybody else who you mention now. Please stand if you're observing a yahrzeit and share a name with us.
My grandmother, Kathleen Goff, here.
Zichronam livracha, may the memory of all of those people continue to be a blessing. We stand with our mourners and turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to mourners everywhere. And we say together, amen. Please be seated. A few announcements. Tonight's Oneg, as we said, is sponsored by the San Francisco Campus for Jewish Living, and we are so grateful to you for bringing this to us. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, Torah study at 9:15 on Zoom. I think it will be a lot of fun. Karen, you should join us. Tomorrow night, as you've heard over and over again, we are very excited to welcome Nefesh Mountain in concert. There are tickets still available, which means that we've sold 1,099 or fewer because we see a lot of people in here. So please join us. tomorrow night for a Jewish bluegrass celebration.
They might run out. You never know.
You never know. You never know, but there are still tickets as of now. Children's Happy Hanukkah celebration will be co-sponsored by the Jewish Baby Network for kids up to age 5 on Sunday morning. There are tons of things going on this weekend, so if you know of a 5 or under aged person, bring them along. The jelly donuts will be delish. I can vouch for those. There's a yacht movie night on Sunday night. And I want to really highlight, because Zach reminded us that it's almost Hanukkah. Next Friday night, we have a really special program. It's a little pre-Hanukkah, but Zach is going to be unbelievably excited by next Friday night. Cantor Glaser and Jonathan have planned a really wonderful evening of music, of celebration, of crafts, all kinds of things, followed by a wonderful dinner and music by Peter Bonos' band, and latkes and all kinds of festive things going on just to begin to get us in the mood for Hanukkah, which officially starts on Sunday night. And we will be doing a candle lighting for the first night of Hanukkah for the community. Anybody who's interested on Zoom, please join Cantor Glaser on Sunday night. So then we'll really kick it off and have a whole week of fun activities.
Please make sure you register for the dinner on Friday night. It will make our lives easier and, more latkes for everyone, because we need to know how many people are coming. So please make sure you register ahead of time for Peter's sake and our sake. Thank you.
Cool. Any other announcements that I forgot? Okay. Well, we will conclude our service then with Kiddush and Motzi. Do you want to say anything, or should we just wait with bated breath? Garlic and herb. Okay, I love it. Please turn to page 5 for Kiddush and stand as the cantor blesses our wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav veratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים.
לחיים.
I did mention to Zach earlier this week that he should come and join us for Motzi if he hasn't had enough embarrassment. So, Zach, come on out if you like. The one other thing I will say about the challah is that we had the ladder last week, the sulam, right? And I joked that the best part was that there were 2 rungs, so we had 2 chalot. And so Ruth has made extra this evening, so there is 1 extra challah at the back. Zach, excellent. All right. You want to take a piece of challah and join us in Motzi?
I finally get to taste some of Ruth's challah before it's all gone.
Yeah, he's up there at the back. He never gets up here. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Amen.
Thanks.
No.
What page are we turning to? I don't know.
343.
343. Okay.
That's really good. Wow. Yeah.
Is Jonathan really at the symphony? That's so cool.
Yeah. He had to go play the Messiah. So
a
little different.
So, very religious evening.
Nice Jewish boy. Yeah. We will close with Oseh Shalom on 343. Oseh Shalom Imromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, ותבל ואמרו אמן. Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
shalom.